All right, good to see all of you again. And let's go through this from a philosophical point of view. Number one, I want to make sure that what you're looking at is your inner self as we go through this, okay? You want to understand what your strengths are and the root of your belief and how well you are going to be able to navigate through the life that you choose. Two things I want to put before you is that no one goes to war without planning for it, understanding what the enemy has and how you want to overcome. I use this analogy to make sure that you understand that in everything in life, in order for you to succeed, you must understand, first study the situation, have alternatives, and be in a position to attack so that you can succeed. Graduate school is going to make your life better, but the choices you make will determine how successful or not successful you're going to be based on your preparation, okay? Go on, please. You can just run them all together. So in this presentation, what we're going to deal with is look at the objectives, your learning objectives, how they are related to the outcome, and a decision-making process that will guide you to a successful graduate program, whether you want to do an online program, whether you want to go part-time, whether you want to go full-time. Those are choices that are innate to you, and they will be determined by the circumstances surrounding your environment in which you are operating. So no one way is a right way, okay? But I want to make sure that it's a reflection of who you are when you go through this process. Next slide, please. The first and foremost is understanding yourself, and that is where understanding your potential is. Know who you are and be true to yourself. No one can know you better than yourself, and no one is going to assess you better than yourself. So in assessing yourself, you want to first have some career objectives. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what do you want to become? How do you want your knowledge to help society? Those things establish clarity in your pursuit of the program that you are going to get into. It will determine, and then you have to use that to determine the academic environment that optimizes your chances to succeed. What do I mean by that? The environment is not just the program. It could also involve the city. It could also involve the professors. It could also involve the support system that is available to you. All right? Preparing a competitive packet basically means that you start early, you study the schools that you are interested in, know what their requirements are, and then see what you have and do not have, and how to shore up the gaps so that when you submit your application, it has the chance to succeed. Understand the GRE scores. I'm not going to play too much role on that one because they have someone in Princeton that is going to Princeton services that is going to talk about that. But the whole idea of GRE is to understand not just the cutoff scores, but what the department articulates to be a minimum score. If you aim for the minimum, then you're not going to be competitive because everybody else that is going for the program is looking for ways to get money from the program. So just being competitive or making the lowest score is not going to guide you. So play those things through your mind and then understand how the courses you are taking relate to what those opportunities are so that you're able to succeed. Maybe two. Next slide, please. So, given that you have chosen to go to grad school, you want to match your potential with institutions that best meet your needs. So how do you do that? First and foremost, you find out what area of research or interest you have. See the number of universities that you're interested in that are offering that area, because that is what will motivate you to succeed. And in doing that, you want to make sure that those institutions provide the type of support system that allows you to succeed. That is the key, the support system that allows you to succeed. It starts from the friendliness of the environment, the professors, the ability for your fellow students to not only be competitors, but also people that can aid you during your difficult times in terms of studying. So have a study group and have people you can relate to so that in times of difficult times, you are able to communicate with them and move forward with your studies. Prepare the challenges of the chosen program if you are to succeed. That is to say, going back to the self-reflection thing. If you know who you are, you know your weaknesses. Some of them could be prerequisites. Some of them could be your study habits. Some of them could be how the pace of the course. Then you have to be ready to burn the midnight oil if the pace is too fast for you. But focus on making sure and be determined to succeed. That's the criteria. Be determined to succeed. If you're determined to succeed, then no challenge is too much of a challenge. If you're not determined to succeed, you would have excuses for why you cannot succeed. You must have a very clear mind as you approach your graduate program. You must also have a very clear mind of what you want to achieve with that program. Okay, so those things will guide your ability to meet those challenges. We've talked about GRE. Understand the components of a graduate application packet. That is to say, when you apply, I would always suggest that if you are planning to go to grad school, do that, all this, what I'm talking about, a year in advance. That is from your junior year, articulate what you want to study. If you've gone through some internships that motivate you to go to grad school, what are the niches or the type of research that you see yourself trying to perform? What is it from those universities that you are choosing that is motivating you to go there? Is it the type of research they're doing? The number of professors in your area that you're interested in? Because that will drive the components of the application that you submit. Next, please. Because of the different ways that people go to grad school, situations determine what path you take. Do you want to go through a company paying for you? That means you go part-time and they pay. Do you want to go directly? In which case, if you don't have assistantships or other sources of income, it may be difficult for you. You have to understand what it would take to get this done. So if you're doing it part-time, it may take you 2 or 3 years to do your master's, but that's okay. You are earning income. But in that situation, where do you think your loyalty is? Your loyalty may not be on your graduate program. it has to be with the employer, right? Because if you have deadlines, that come first, right? If that paycheck doesn't come again, graduate school is no longer existing, right? So you have to know how to balance those things. Ensure that the investment will advance your career in the desired direction. This is very important. Don't do something that you don't like. That is why you pay attention to the environment you are in, which school you're going to be in, and how you are going to be able to come up with the interest and the perseverance in what you're doing. Because if you like what you're doing, it becomes second nature. If you don't like what you're doing, it's always hard to get up the next day to do the same thing. And once your mindset is of that second form, graduate school becomes a difficult situation for you. Look within yourself to determine when you are and your proposed destination. I keep going back to this. Everything is self-assessment. The strength is within you. The strength you have is to understand your weaknesses and your financial solution, as well as the social environment that you want to go in. The strength is an understanding that you will be able to overcome those things if you plan adequately and be true to yourself. If you don't have enough financial support, graduate school will be difficult because there are too many things going through your mind, and study is not the first one. Social situation is basically understanding your environment and the support system that will help you achieve that. I have professor mentors who actually guided me into teaching, starting from undergrad. God bless his soul, Professor Olan Cruz, a physics professor. I'm an electrical engineer. We met because I disagreed with him. Our friendship fostered because we saw the strength in each other's understanding of what was being communicated. And that led me to be a teacher that I am today, because after that semester, I was able to be a TA for him and teach labs until I graduated from undergraduate school. That guided my whole process of going into graduate school and at the same time being a professor. Next slide, please. You have to set goals, both short-term and long-term goals. You have to set goals that will help you focus on achieving them. Number one, how long do you think it will take you to do your master's? Do you want to go directly to a PhD? And if so, how much time will that take? Where will your finances come from? All these things form the basis of your decision-making process. Do you want to do the traditional graduate school studies or do you want to do part-time, or do you want to do online? Who is paying for it? Everyone's situation is different. And so the circumstances upon that are with you will guide your decision. But the strength of that decision lies in your ability to know yourself. Next slide, please. Do not just concentrate on one school. And that is why it is necessary to start with first the niche, what you want to study. Once you understand what you want to do, your research, what you want to guide yourself with in your profession, then you want to find out the institutions that have similar programs that will satisfy that hunger in you. The next step is to understand what the similarities are and what the differences are. How many professors are in the area of your interest? Because if there are more than one, then at least you would have different options. But if it's only one person, you may be stuck. If you and the person do not go along, then chances are you will have to look for a different school to go and complete your education. So the second point is what I've just finished discussing. So once you identify that area of interest and you go through that, the next thing is to know when is the right time for you to proceed. I always give you this 1 year, 1 year gap. So at the your second semester junior year, you're beginning to put these things together. Excuse me. You're beginning to put your ideas together. And sometimes you might have gone to internships that will guide your interest. And if you haven't done that, maybe you've done undergraduate research programs and that guide your interest. But once these things are done, find out those schools that you think you're interested in, contact them and see if they have funds to get you over there to look at what they have and talk about it, because you can make an impression before you apply and even secure funds before you finish your undergrad. But in going through these different programs, you are actually evaluating which one that best suits the way or what your interest is and where is you're going to find yourself most comfortable. Next, please. Ask yourself these very questions, because this is where all those visits at the end will bring finality to your choice. Does the structure of the program fit your academic style? Are you an introvert or extrovert? Are you able to communicate freely with people? Are you able to go to the professor, ask questions? Is the professor going to be there for you, or is he always busy with his research such that you don't have much time if that's going to be a major professor? Are your study skills appropriate for the chosen program's level of difficulty? That is to say, do you have the appropriate prerequisites? If not, how are you going to show yourself up to be able to proceed in the program? Are you willing to put in the work and fill in the cavities in your educational persona? If you're able to do that, then you have that ability to succeed. Always keeping your eye on the prize. At the level of your social skills, make you confident. Confidence is self-belief. And I always say, if you don't have confidence, you don't have self-esteem. No one will love you more than yourself. All right? And if you love yourself that way, you know yourself, then no one can give you confidence but yourself. And if you have that confidence, most things will not faze you. They will be difficult, but you will be able to tackle them and be successful because you have your eye on the prize. But if you're willing to wait for people to like you and all those things, then chances are those things will be impediments on your way, because you will never be satisfied with what they give you. They will never be satisfied with what you give them. The main thing you have to look at is from within. You are doing this not for anyone but yourself, or to better your life, and you understand the skill set that you need in order to succeed. And you understand that going to the professors, no question is stupid. Going to the professors or having a study group so that you can exchange ideas will be things that will help you succeed in the program. Next, please. Okay? Is your intellectual development advanced enough to succeed in the program? That means when you finish your undergraduate studies, did you have depth and breadth? If not, in the graduate program, are you willing to spend the time to study? Some professors will give you papers to go and read and tell you to come up with summaries of those things, not skim through them, but understand the equations in there, what type of conclusion is made, and what you would do differently. These are the things that matter. Because once you're in a research environment, you are actually trying to address three things. What have others done? What is the problem that they're trying to solve? And how you can do that better. If you're able to think through those three things, you are coming up with something that you would have. What qualities do the professors possess that would make them to be good advisors? How you relate to the professor is one thing. How you relate to your committee is another thing. And if there are adversarial relationships between the professors in your committee, your environment will be difficult, especially your research, because if your major professor approves, the other professor may not approve, just because, not what you have written, but because of their adversarial relationship. So you need to understand those qualities and how the professors relate to each other, the cordiality that they have that will allow you to succeed. That is part of understanding the environment. Do I have a good knowledge of my strengths and weaknesses? Yes, you do. No one knows you better than yourself. But be true to yourself, because once you're true to yourself, you can channel your strengths to address your weaknesses. You can channel your strengths to address your weaknesses. You understand who you are, and then how you study, and where you need help, and materialize that by putting the effort to make that happen. Next, please. So some programs can admit you directly to the PhD without an outlet for a master's. So here again, you're looking at your strength. You don't want it to be that at the end of the day, if you don't get a PhD, you have nothing else. You have to look at those things and look at the alternatives you have to those type of limitations. Understand that options are available to you so that if you want to do a master's in the process, or in your process you get a master's, you know that you have something to fall back on. I believe one of the presenters on Saturday at Purdue University did tell us this. He was admitted straight to the PhD program, but on the way he elected to make sure he had a master's, something to fall back on, just in case he didn't finish his PhD. You have to have those type of options. Another thing you need to do is have the ability to expand your horizon. So you need to take courses from different professors and find areas of interest that will more or less sprawl your research ability. All right, be curious and use that curiosity to advance your learning process. Next, please. Okay, so if you are doing this a year ahead of time, you will see how prepared you are by aligning the courses you have taken with the course descriptions and the degree plan of the master's or PhD program you're about to attend. And where there are cavities in your learning, you have enough time to take prerequisites to those courses, additional courses, so that when you go there, you are shoring up some of those discrepancies in your learning or in your understanding. Find out from the school what additional requirements you might need before you go. Some of that you can find out when you visit those places and they're paying for it. All right? Once you examine if that structure fits your style, improve your writing skills, because that is what sells you. Improve your writing skills. Communication is very important. Your ability to tell your story, your ability to sell yourself. You never have a second chance for a first impression. So if your write-up is so segmented, incomplete sentences, and so forth, a mindset will be there that you are not going to be able to write something coherent for people to see. And you will be fighting that mindset for a long time. So have that writing skill. Let people prove it for you. Understand what you're doing wrong, and make sure that you're in a position to sell yourself adequately. Next, please. When you're writing a statement of purpose, you want to be clear about your goals and be very specific as it applies to the program and why you are choosing that environment to achieve your objectives, okay? This is why you study the program, you look at the courses or the research area, you see a niche, and you want to talk about how you see yourself fitting into that, and that anticipated research that you want to do, what type of impact you see it having on the society. So that's clear. People see that you have a vision. They see that you have a direction. It may not be developed, but you know where you're heading with that. And if you've had some research experiences or internship experiences that talked about your work, describe those things in there, because all those elements are talking about who you are to the person. And those are the things that will be used to judge you. So if one looks at your statement and it is very exciting, chances are they're really looking at what type of research you're going to do with them and how to more or less put you in their program. Next, please. These are important things. Letters of recommendation. Know who will give you an effective recommendation. That is to say, who knows you, either by research or affiliation as to how you behave in class, the type of questions you ask, someone who has seen your ability to put in your effort and show that you succeed. They should be able to specify one or two things that you have done, either through your classwork, where you, in the class, where you position yourself in the class, to make it unique, so that whoever is reading that recommendation does not see it as a blank, same old, but that this professor actually knows the student and can identify one or two strengths or weaknesses of the student in that recommendation. Next, please. Okay, so GRE scores. This is a topic that they will be discussing again. Some schools now are waiving the GRE, so it's not as important as it used to be, but it is still something that you need to know that the scales have changed. They will be talking about it sometime either today or tomorrow. Make sure that you look at what they're doing. The thing that you need to know about this is check what the school that you're going to, what they require, and how to meet those requirements. Do not aim for the minimum cutoff. Aim higher than that so that you put yourself in a competitive edge. Next, please. All right, we can skip this. They will talk about this one. You can skip this page. Yeah, this is the last sheet up. This is the last thing I want you to see. In sum, as you look at yourself, You want to look at yourself from the academic and professional environment. What do you want to become 5 years from now? What type of degrees do you want to have, and how do you intend to navigate your way through all of that? Do you want to be full-time? If it is no, do you want to do online? Or is it going to be part-time that the company you're working for is paying for? If it is yes, that you're going to do full-time, the program requirements don't change. They're all the same. So in either case, you want to meet those requirements. You want to make sure that you know what the degree requirements are. And in knowing them, you can pass yourself and say what prerequisites you need to take, if any. If not, how many semesters is it going to take you if you're doing part-time? And when you're doing part-time and a company is paying for it, where do you think your loyalty is? Your loyalty is with the company, right? So whatever exercises that they give you to do, or whatever your work dictates and deadlines, dictate how well you spend your time on your courses. But remember, you have resolved yourself to do these things. And therefore, the point is, you must put in the time. All right? If you're doing full-time, you want to look at funding opportunities. You want to look at the research interest in that institution that you have chosen, if it aligns with what you want to do, and if they have funding in those areas. Be prepared to meet with those challenges. And if you do all of those things with a clear mind, you'll be striving for success. Questions?
Thank you. I did have 2 questions to start off. The first one is, I think I'm looking at this and I don't know if I'm getting that correct. So if you do online, full-time or part-time, do you still get the same funding that you would if you do full-time face-to-face?
Okay, let me answer your question like this. If you're doing online full-time, you are not on campus. Some funding opportunities may subject themselves to that. But in most cases, you are supposed to be on campus because you'll be doing research related to what you're being given to. All right? Usually online, in most cases, is for people who are working.
Okay.
And so in those cases, you are either footing the bill or the company is footing the bill for you.
Okay. And then my second question was, how do you so let's say for me, I know I'm thinking about going into graduate school right after I'm going to be doing the program that is on my campus, but I also plan on getting my MBA. That is something that I would like to have under my belt. So how do you go about that? Like, do you suggest doing them at the same time or at 2 different times?
Oh, there are programs that allow you to do both at the same time. Mm-hmm. But here's what I will put on your plate.
Yes, sir.
Because you're thinking that, and if you're doing the program at your school, first and foremost, you want to look at what the MBA requirements are and what your program requirements are, the one that you're going to be doing.
Okay.
Number 2, what number of courses are you taking in relation to the one that you're trying to do now? And what hours are free for you to start taking whatever is for the MBA?
Okay.
So that by the time you are close to finishing, you can apply for the MBA program, and then maybe a semester or 2 you will be finishing.
Okay. Yes,
my daughter actually had an option of getting an MBA a year after she gets her undergraduate degree. She didn't choose it, but I mean, some schools give you that option.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Any other questions? So how many of you are now motivated to go to grad school and know exactly what you need to do to prepare yourself?
I know I do. I know when you were talking about the study habits and all of that, I know that definitely like going into graduate school, it's I know when we talked to Dr. Chimba last week, he did explain how the program, you're going through a coursework, but it's heavier. It's a heavier course load. So I know that some of the things that I do to get by in undergraduate will not, slide.
Will not fly.
Will not fly in graduate school at all. So just making sure that for me, because I'm very involved on campus as well. So those are like the little things that take my time when I'm supposed to be studying. So I know that going into a graduate program, I can be involved in all of those things and just dedicating those time to studying or doing my project or research, whichever route I go. So yes, I definitely.
You can relate to that, yes, because the amount of time you put in is what you're going to get out of it. And at the same time, you have to be focused in graduate school. No one is going to spoon feed you. And most of it is going to be individual study, but when you have a study group, it will help you better understand how things are moving so that you're in a position to succeed better.
Yes, sir.